Hello and welcome to Tactics Zone with Real Football Talk. I'm your host Hassan, and I have with Adil with me. We'll be discussing the game of Manchester United versus AC Milan, where for me, I thought AC Milan really dominated the game, and United failed to create really any chances apart from that one moment of magic from Fernandes and Diallo. Adil, what did AC Milan do to kind of really disturb the flow of United, and how they kind of dominated the whole game?
And so if you well what AC Milan did really well was if you look at the setups, obviously United playing in the tradition 4-2-3-1, and AC Milan during the game they changed their formations quite a few times. And each time you could tell what they were trying to do. So at the beginning, before the game, Pioli's main focus was how to contain the threat of Fernandes. So what they did was they done 4-3-3, but with a false nine. So it was, you could say a 4-4 diamond and two inside wingers. Yeah, so what that did was that allowed them to shackle the influence of Fernandes in that first half. So if you look at the first, you could say 35, close to 40 minutes, AC Milan dominated the game because United just could not get the ball into Fernandes, and the rest of the players weren't good enough or as good as the AC Milan players in receiving the ball in tight spaces and playing forward passes. So what was happening was you're seeing a game where Milan were quite confident. I mean, they were taking the defenders, the right back, the left back. They're all taking the ball under pressure and content with passing around them or dribbling around the press. So it kind of, you straight away see in terms of technical, there's a difference between the two teams. All the AC Milan players were comfortable on the ball, comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, which wasn't the case for a lot of the United players. Hence, they weren't taking the risk, other than Greenwood. So every time the ball came to Greenwood, Greenwood was turning his man or making something happen or trying to. At least he wasn't rushing to get rid of the ball. He was trying to.
You would associate also Martial with that type of play because he's really good on the ball.
If you see the way AC Milan set up, it was difficult for any balls to come vertical or central. It was really tough to get Fernandes into the game and Martial, especially when you got defensive midfielders. Where's the creativity coming from? So what happened was United were giving the ball away quite a lot at the beginning, hence the dominance of Milan. Obviously, the very highly contentious goal disallowed. I think
what a finish.
That's the first clear-cut error you're going to see from VAR. Like whoever was on the video booth made a mistake. He rushed to that decision too quickly without looking at all the angles properly. But they were dominating the game because even when Mete moved away, Kessie would come in, Krunic was coming. They were making sure, but most of that first half, Mete was man marking Fernandes. Most of that first. So that allowed them to control the game and create chances in these wider areas. Yeah. And Diaz was just creating the numbers and occupying the center. So that stopped both from being able to press high because Diaz was playing in between the lines. So very, 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 very good system for AC Milan, and that's why they dominate. But within the last 10 minutes of the half, United started to come back in. So what happened is United basically got comfortable playing at a slower tempo. So then what happened was the ball just kept going side to side, but they've got extra man side. So then what happens is ultimately it's 5 against 4 in this midfield zone. So what Man United were doing is going left to right, right to left, and just moving it back. But that tired the AC Milan players out. That tired the midfield out. So then what happened was United were getting possession and slow play and building their confidence. And that had a big effect on what AC Milan did in the second half. So if I go to the second half, what AC Milan did was they changed their formation to a 4-4-2. And they basically said, Fernandez ain't having a big influence on the game anyway. Let's just open up a bit, because we're now struggling to get possession of the ball. Because every time we press, they've got an extra spare man and they're going from side to side. So now they're matching out and they're saying, okay, we'll take the risk here with Fernandez being free. And they went four across the middle to be able to press a bit better the midfielders and stop them going side to side. So tactically, I understood what Pioli did, but that actually created the problem for United's first goal, because suddenly, first time in the game, for the first 10 minutes of the half, Fernandez was everywhere, involved in everything. They're getting the ball to him, because now Mete is not man marking Fernandez. He got fouled for the free kick. He then, the ball comes back to him, plays the 2-ball, and by then, obviously halftime sub had happened, and
Diallo's come on.
Diallo has come on. But that all was because of the tactical change AC Milan did, not really anything United had changed. But so it kind of shows sometimes in an idea to kind of affect the game and win the ball, you can subtract what your original plan was, and that can cost you. But
surely, I mean, AC Milan stopping Fernandez from playing, that would stop any threat from United, really. So I'm surprised that they did go to that, even though they wanted to press more and obviously go for it a bit more. But if you're stopping them at home from really scoring anything or creating any chances, and even if they're going side to side.
But one of the things about Pioli's Milan is they play to win, and they've got a real team spirit and a real a winning mentality now within the club. So the change was a positive to stop Man United playing that slow football and now dominating the possession like they did in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the half. So it was a positive change. But the thing was, they forgot the main danger man, and how everything comes to most things good from United come from the Fernandez. Now they probably felt they handled it so well in the first half they could take that risk, but it backfired. So then what they did was they adjusted again, and they basically went back to just leaving this whole side free, and just Krunic came in slightly more narrow. So same type of system. But then after Tonali and everything, they went to 4-2-3-1. Basically, they just went to Kessie in the 10, sorry. And that's where they've now changed the whole. They've changed the whole outlook of the game. Because
Tonali was sitting with Mate, wasn't he?
Yes. Well, yeah, Mate also came off. So so they went to the 4-2-3-1, and that helped them reestablish the forward momentum again in the game.
Kessie seemed to have really dominated that midfield. Really, the whole game. It seemed like United couldn't get hold of him.
I mean, that was the worrying thing was AC Milan were a lot more combative, they were a lot more physical, and they just played. They played a fluid way, in such a fluid way that every time they attacked, they knew what they were doing. They attacked with freedom. They weren't afraid. Both fullbacks were pushing up every time. It was really refreshing, and it's definitely, you can see why they're doing so well in Serie A, is because they've got real confidence in what they're doing, and they know what they're doing. So, and we saw from the game, I mean, the amount of tactical change. I mean, I think Pioli changed formation about 4 times in the second half alone, just to and eventually went to this 4-2-3-1 with the subs on. Yeah, and Kessie was by far the best player on the pitch. But every one of their players, I just felt they seemed so confident and comfortable on the ball. And definitely, they seemed like the team that had the players seemed more experienced, had more game know-how. Uh, and it's quite surprising because, again, they had a weakened team as well. They're missing their whole forward line. They're missing their main central defenders too. In so yeah, they had a lot of players out. I mean, uh, it was more like 8 of their first team out, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
Um,
Even then,
we,
considering that they still kind of like outplayed United. Maybe not in terms
yeah,
of position, but in terms
yeah,
of the
but
game play.
what that really shows you is the confidence of their players, and United players, their backups just don't carry that confidence and that leadership and that character. They don't put their character on the pitch the way AC Milan players do, and that's a culture thing. You see it, when you look at the current Manchester United lineup, how many players are playing with an expression and confidence? There's not many.
Yeah.
Not many are willing to take more than 3-4 touches or play. You got Fernandez, you got Maguire, you got Shaw. Who has Greenwood? Was comfortable with the ball under pressure with someone. Other than that, I mean, everyone else plays very quick, is very quick to get rid of the ball. And the problem United had, and the reason why the whole game they couldn't create nothing was because they're all happy. So if Milan go narrow, so what James will do, he'll move left or right. So they're happy to move to receive the ball to feed. So they're all slightly moving left or right in every position. If the ball's at the back, you'll see McTominay move out wide. If Diaz comes in and he'll suddenly come out here. So they're all happy to move to receive the ball in and around the press, to beat the press. But they all want it to feed.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. It seemed like no one really wanted to stretch the game or stress the play to force Milan kind of to, push back a bit more.
Well, so what happens is there's only one player that forces the play in this United lineup, which is Fernandez, and he's the only one who plays in behind into space. He done it a few times in the first half, and Martial just didn't make that run. So it kind of helped Martial getting injured in the sense that he doesn't suit the profile of Fernandez in the sense that he won't make that run in behind. So whenever Fernandez played it, most of the time, in fairness, Tomori or Kajab actually intercepted it because the ball wasn't that great. But Martial didn't even make the run in behind anyway. So the goal was the one time where they got the pass right and the run right and in behind, and they scored. Other than that, it was just Greenwood's perseverance in dribbling and creating a chance for James. There wasn't an awful lot but that's the reason, is because no one actually runs off the ball unless few times when it went, Tellers came up. So what happens when they go out wide, they seem to have a bit more confidence in making forward runs. So they'll dribble it, they'll bring the ball to the wide player, and then you may see a run over the top. And the defender will kind of create space. But what happens is every single time James or Greenwood, they'd use that as an opportunity to dribble. So the run is a waste of time because you end up creating a space to attack and play the ball in potentially to create a scenario, but United never use those opportunities. The players end up using the space created to dribble into it, and then they get stuck and they go backwards and sideways again. So the problem is, even when there are forward runs out wide, we never seem to play the player in.
Well, I mean, it seems to be a balance problem where they got too many players that like to dribble.
Yeah. And then too many players who like the ball to feed, and don't make runs in behind. So that's the real problem why they struggle to create anything, is because they just don't shift enough players and they don't make enough runs off the ball. And I mean, it's definitely interesting second leg.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to end with. Really, it opens up for a really good game to be at the San Siro, really. And they got a fantastic record as well. So yeah, thank you, Adu, for the bit of insight, and see you soon.
See you.